and welcome to the show. My name is Clau and my guest today is Archie Petsas. With over 25 years of experience in HR, including training, employee relationships and recruitment, Archie is now the Human Resources Director for the APAC region, including South Africa at Fluidra. Fluidra is a Spanish-based listed company in the global pool and wellness industry, operating in more than 45 countries with 135 sales offices and 37 production centers around the world. Archie is responsible for driving the people and culture agenda for ANZ, Asia, and South Africa. He speaks 2 languages, English, obviously, and Greek, and has a Bachelor of Adult Education and a postgrad diploma in HR, and is a certified mediator. We share the love for leadership development conversations and good food, right?
That's right.
I'm keen to hear, what were your challenges that you faced, and what are the opportunities that you see?
At a personal level, growing up as a child of Greek immigrants, to put it into context, my parents immigrated to Australia when they were 20 and 21 with no money and no English. For me, they raised us, my brother and I, with education being the most important thing. And so we literally spoke no English until we went to school. There was a lot of hard work, and work ethic is what my parents instilled into us. There was a time when actually we moved back to Greece and I lived with my grandparents and went to school in Greece. And that was an experience in itself, and that's where the Greek language cemented for me. But that hard work ethic that we were raised with included working with my mum and dad late at nights, cleaning offices, just so that my mum could finish work earlier. That to me is one of the things that I always look back and relate to, going back to Greece and living with my grandparents and essentially still doing Greek classes and English classes. So for me, that my parents, being literally from a subsistence type economy in the villages of Greece and coming out to Australia and taking those risks was immense. When I think about the opportunities, though, that's created for me, in terms of being able to go to school, being able to go to university, educating ourselves so that we can then be productive in society, there was no greater gift that I could thank them for. So when I look at opportunities, then I really honestly think about that as opportunities are limited to your own imagination and to your own hard work. You create those. The opportunity in the professional sense for me is now the intergenerational workforce, older experienced people working together with the millennials and leveraging that. And I don't think that businesses do that very well at this point. So that's where I see the opportunities going forward.
And when you're talking about hard work and using your imagination, how do you increase your thinking power and focus?
I think there's 3 things here, how I do it. One of the things that's been important for me has been exercise. I've been a football player since a little child. I actually, from the age of 5, I started playing tennis. I haven't picked up a racket that much for the last few years. I do need to do that better. Second thing for me, in fact, actually, just gardening. Again, it might sound a bit silly, but for me, it's actually problem solving. I'm not only just gardening, I'm actually building things. I'm actually doing things. I'm solving problems. And I think around my office, many people will continuously hear me say, every job that we have in our business, every single job is a problem solving job. It must solve a particular problem. The other one is reading. I go back to the time that I was studying. I did my postgrad. And there's one thing that I remembered in my postgrad that I use all the time in business to remind people about what we do. And there's a model that's called the sigmoid curve. And in fact, actually, I drew it so I can show people. And essentially, it's a change model. And I use this every day in any context in our business. And that is, when we peak, we'll either go back down unless we change at a certain point in time. Then we can accelerate and change and grow again. And you can apply that principle in a lot of areas.
And is that also how you reinvent yourself, or is that a different sequence again?
Well, that model many years ago cemented in my mind. So I've used it not only just in business and to have conversations with managers, say, well, what's going to change if you don't make a decision? If you stay on the same path?
Yeah.
And when we're talking about how did I reinvent myself? And I think that's a fascinating and interesting question. When someone reinvents themselves, I think the thing you have to think about is, well, what risk do you need to take? What level of risk? And going back to what my parents were like, they weren't risk takers at all.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a very big risk taker, but I am more so than they are. And I think that hopefully, and that's where you get entrepreneurship, you get to another extent. Yeah. But to truly invent yourself, I think you need to take a little bit of risk. And I remember many years ago, in my profession in HR, I was asked by my HR director at a particular role, company, yes, to call in a sales director, and because that sales director's role was being made redundant. Yeah. And I still remember to this day that sales director told me, you'll never know what it's like to sell, Archie, until you go out there and have to sell yourself, and essentially be your own business. Now, I didn't do that exactly, but I did go out consulting. I did go into the recruitment industry. I did go into relationship work with CPA, and spoke to lots of clients and worked that through. And I did that for 3.5 years, and I took that risk. It led me back into HR, which I love.
Yeah.
But I think in reinventing yourself, you need to take risks.
Yeah, yeah, and that is how you also came full circle, right? Because you're back in HR, but then on the global stage. With knowing how to reinvent yourself, the risks you are taking, how do you think you're going forward? Will you be doing things differently? Will you be differently going forward?
Well, going forward, I was thinking about the question, and it is a good final question. You've got to put something in action in order to do something. And when I look at some of the things that I'm a list maker, and I like to make lists, and I like to tick them off, and I like to draw a line through them, and I like to see a line through my lists. Yeah. But going forward, there's a couple of things. Maybe something that's not necessarily different at first is I need to work with my organisation and help managers become better managers. So we need to retrospectively look inwards, which includes me looking at myself, and being part of that process. So what's going to be happening differently here for us is helping managers become better through that lens of self-reflection and assessment. But at a personal level, when I'm looking at, well, how am I going to be doing things differently, I've decided to actually use an online tool. It's not a marketing exercise, but an online tool called ClickUp, which actually is similarly aligned to, and I was reading your book around doing an overview and a mini reset, because even at a leadership level, we talk about having a helicopter view so that we can manage. And the region is quite large that I look after. I need to hold people more accountable for different things, but I don't want to go too high where I see things moving slowly. And if you're too low, you see things moving quickly. I need to make sure that I use that overview and reset sort of strategy and use technology to help me with that. And that way I'm planning on making those changes. I've already started, but I need to implement it with the rest of the team so they see it also coming through. Thanks
so much. And thanks everyone for tuning in to the show. Love to see you next time again. Keep shifting and see you next time.